Hello everyone, my name is Karen. I make bookish and college related videos, and today I'm going to be sharing with you all the books that I will be packing with me back to college and the books I plan on reading for the Booktube History Challenge. I'm just now looking at my background. It is a complete mess. Those are the clothes that I'm taking back to school. Those are the clothes I'm leaving at home. I have a bunch of stuff on my desk. I have the books, I have school stuff, and I was packaging Etsy orders earlier, so I just didn't clean up. But you know what, we're not gonna clean it up. We're just gonna leave it here because this is very authentic. This is me. This is the representation of what's going on in my mind as I prepare to go back to school. My first week of college will be starting the upcoming Monday I upload this, and the history challenge will be starting on August 17th, which is the first week of classes, and that is absolutely perfect. Anyway, I'm just gonna go into the books that I am packing first, and I'm actually packing them in this box here. I don't know where this box came from. It probably came from like Costco or something, but it's just full of like journals and stuff that I plan on taking now. But I told myself I will only take books that fit into that box, and so that is helping me with not overpacking so many books. I was very intentional with the books that I picked out that I want to take back with me. Some of these are repeats, as you may see if you've been following this channel for a little while. I'm going to be honest, every time I post a TBR video, I never really get to the book. This like weird added pressure is put onto me when I upload a TBR, so I'm going to stop doing that. So I'm going to reword this video to say History Challenge Books rather than TBR, because if the moment I write down TBR into that YouTube title, it's not happening. So the first book that I want to show you is Code Girls, The Untold Story of the American Women Code Breakers of World War II by Liza Mundy. So this is a historical nonfiction that covers a story of 10,000 women that joined the US Army and Navy during World War II as code breakers. And these women code breakers helped shorten the war, save lives, and open up various career fields for women during their time. And I think you'll see a theme with these books actually. Next, we have The Rise of the Rocket Girls, The Women Who Propelled Us from Missiles to the Moon to Mars by Natalia Holt. This is a really pretty cover. This is another historical nonfiction that covers the story of a bunch of different women that were hired to work as human computers for NASA, and they worked on these original projects that help, I don't know, just really like build the foundation of NASA and America's space presence. So I'm really excited. I don't know if this touches on the story of the Hidden Figures book, like that whole story, and if they're the same women or not. I'm not too sure. I don't know if it's the same thing, but nonetheless, we'll see. Next one, I think y'all have seen on this channel for a couple of times, but that is We Are Not Yet Equal, Understanding Our Racial Divide by Carol Anderson. This is the cover. I started reading this. I haven't finished it because I've only gotten like a few pages in. But this is a YA historical nonfiction that touches on key civil rights events in history and really puts the information in digestible chapters for teens. So the next book is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This is the version of the book that I got. And this actually follows the story of a scientist named Victor Frankenstein that creates a monster creature out of various body parts and uses an electrical charge to activate this creature. And so this entire time, I thought the creature was named Frankenstein and not the scientist. As you can see, I've never read this before, which is kind of surprising to me personally, mainly because I think I've mentioned this in last week's video, but I just have a lot of random facts about Mary Shelley and her mother, Mary Wollstonecraft. But I have so much appreciation for the Marys, and I don't know, this is the very first science fiction novel, and I just love the story of how Mary Shelley created this book, or how she came up with the idea of it. This is a classic, of course. I am surprised I've never read it. Also, I don't think I've ever seen a film adaptation of any kind of Frankenstein besides Frankenweenie. I'm pretty sure I've seen, it's like a cartoon or whatever, right? But it's it's a relatively short book, and I don't know, I feel like I'm just gonna knock this out one weekend and read it all. I kind of want to read it tonight. Next we have Lab Girl by Hope Jahren. I hope I'm saying that right. But this is a scientific memoir of geobiologist Hope Jahren. She touches on her childhood, her experiences in the scientific field, but I think a big chunk of this book also touches on her relationship with her lab partner. I used to be a STEM major as well. I dropped that. I talked about that in my bookish and like college updates video, which you can go check out to see why I dropped my bio major. I love reading up on women and science and technology and math, and so this I'm really excited to get into. And it's such a clean like copy. I'm surprised I've kept it like this nice for this long. Next, if you've been on this channel, I'm pretty sure you've seen this before, but this is Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell, What We Should Know About People We Don't. And so Malcolm Gladwell is a historian. He's a really famous historian, and in this book he goes through various historical events in which strangers meet and interact with each other, and that interaction goes wrong. So for example, we have the suicide of Sylvia Plath, we have the death of Sandra Bland, and the trials of Amanda Knox, I believe is her name. These are all very notable events in history, and so he goes through them and talks about the different techniques and tools that strangers can use to kind of avoid these mishaps and wrongdoings and all of that. So I'm excited to read this. I love Malcolm Gladwell's podcast called Revisionist History, which I highly suggest that you all check out. So yeah. Next, again, another repeat on this channel. Well, we're just gonna get into it, but that is The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. This follows the story of an enslaved woman named Cora, I believe. Named Cora. She escapes because she killed a white man that tried to capture her. And so her first stop is in South Carolina, and it just goes through her entire journey. And I don't know. Oh, yeah, I got this from Goodwill. This is her story of trying to find freedom in the antebellum South. And so another Black history book, but this is a historical fiction, I believe. So the next book is The Color Purple by Alice Walker. This physical copy here is from my public library here at home, so I'm not going to take it back to school with me, but I did purchase a copy from a local independent bookstore in Spartanburg that I absolutely love called Hub City Bookshops. So hopefully that book arrives by the time I get back to campus, or at least by the time the first week of classes start, because that is when we will be hosting our book club meeting on this book. Also, the book club is called We Read Women of Color, and I highly suggest that you all join. You'll see my face and name pop up a lot, and I don't know, I've met some pretty awesome people, and we're doing some pretty awesome things. And so if you want to keep up with us, follow our Instagram. All the links will be in the description below. Anyway, The Color Purple spans over 20 years and is told through stories between these two sisters, Sally and Nettie. And this book also touches a lot on sexual and domestic abuse, resilience, bravery, just a bunch of different themes. I'm really excited to get into this. I've only ever heard great things. I've never read this. I have not seen the musical. I haven't listened to the musical or watched the film, and so I am excited to get into this one and to really dig in deep for our book club. But I did purchase a copy because I wanted a physical copy for our book club. But yeah. Last but not least, we have You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life by Jen Sincero. This book, depending on who I'm talking to, has been a hit or miss for everyone that I talk to. And this is a self-help book talking about how to identify your self-sabotaging behaviors and actions, and how to change them and to really live to your full potential. You know, personally, I am a self-confident person, but if there's ever an opportunity to try and discover little self-sabotaging habits or anything that may be hindering any sort of process, I want to identify those and work on them. And so hopefully I can learn more about goal setting and to really be effective and productive in that. But I'm so excited to read this. This has been on my TBR for so long, and I've had this book for so long. So yeah, hopefully I get to it by the end of this semester. So those 8 books are the books that I am packing with me for college. I'm so excited. I have a lot more free time this fall semester because I dropped my bio major. So hopefully I will make more time in the day to actually read for me and not just for class, even though I know I will be having a lot of class readings. Oof. Anyway, so now on to the Booktube History Challenge. This history challenge was created by Emma over at Cup of Books, Jenny at Bookish Shenanigans, Justin at Triumphal Reads, and Justin at Ghost Reader. I will have all their links and informations down below. But from what I understand, there's only one official prompt, and that is to read one nonfiction history book between August 17th and August 30th. That's it. But on top of that, there's a bunch of optional prompts that you have the option of going along with, and they're listed on the bingo card as seen here. You can find on their Twitter as well. I think in terms of flexibility and all of the optional prompts and what the prompts are, I feel like this is going to be a readathon for me that I will genuinely enjoy. And like I said, this aligns with the first week of classes, and so the first week of classes is always the most flexible because it's syllabus week. You're still introducing yourselves, you're still getting to know the professor, and depending on what classes you're taking, the first week is usually not that bad. But anyway, I have 2 requests at the public library in my college town for 2 different books that I really want to read for this readathon. But if the books don't come in time, if I can't get my hands on them, I will be reading Talking to Strangers or We Are Not Yet Equal from my pile. But the first book that I requested at the library for this history challenge is The Rape of Nanking by Iris Chang. This book touches on the 1937 story of when Japanese soldiers invaded an ancient city called Nanking, China. I believe it's pronounced Nanking, I could be very wrong. This book follows 3 perspectives, one from the Japanese soldiers' side, the Chinese civilian side, and then the European and American side that was in this community, creating a safety zone for these Chinese citizens. Now, as a history major in college now, I often reflect on the classes that I have taken in elementary, middle, and high school, and I realize that majority of my classes are very American-centric and whitewashed, and the only time I took a history class that wasn't so American-centric was my AP European history class during my sophomore year of high school. But then again, it's still a very white-centered history class. I haven't had many opportunities where I can expand beyond the West and look into global histories, and so I made a promise to myself that I talked about last week. Oh, the hurricane's coming in. But I made a promise to myself that I talked about in last week's video, where if I have the opportunity to learn and read up on something that I can't typically learn in a history class at my college, then I'm gonna read up on it. So the next book is Minor Feelings, An Asian American Reckoning by Kathy Park Hong. So I'm just going to read a snippet off of Goodreads because I think that it provides a clear idea of what this book is going to be about. But it reads, Asian Americans inhabit a purgatorial status, neither white enough nor black enough, unmentioned in most conversations about racial identity. In the popular imagination, Asian Americans are all high-achieving professionals. The model minority myth. But in reality, this is the most economically divided group in the country, a tenuous alliance of people with roots from South Asia to East Asia to the Pacific Islands, from tech millionaires to service industry laborers. How do we speak honestly about the Asian American condition? Such a thing exists. So I personally have an identity crisis every other week because I don't feel black enough to identify with struggles and accomplishments from within the black community, but then again, I don't have the experiences in language on my Japanese side, and so I don't know where I fall into things when it comes to racial identity conversations. And so my hope is that I can find some piece of myself in this book and really resonate with it. I don't know if this book exactly covers the prompt of reading one nonfiction history book, but it does cover the optional prompts of a BIPOC author and a memoir. But those are all of the books that I plan to read for myself this upcoming fall semester, and I say that because I'm going to be taking 2 history classes, a psychology class, and a Spanish class, so it's like I need to find time for myself to read because I'm constantly going to be reading for these upcoming classes. Anyway, that is all for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and please subscribe because I have a lot more content coming your way now that I'm going to be back on a college campus and not stuck at home just being sad that I'm not on campus. But anyway, I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Bye everyone.